Brock Lolly Show. News headlines.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Brock Lolly program. My name is Brock Lolly. I am your fearless host. This is the show. We tackle the news headlines, and we sift out the leftist media alphabet soup, Democrat Party lies like the chaff that it is from the golden wheat of truth. Let's jump into the stories. The Greek economy, Greece in general, on the brink. Everybody is shocked at how tough and mean-spirited the EU has been. And Greece might have had it with all this. Ladies and gentlemen, here's essentially what's going on. I don't know how much you know about it. Here it is in a nutshell, and then we're going to listen to a news clip about it. Mainly Germany, because Germany's holding all the economic cards, but essentially Europe's carrying the fiscal water on Greece because Greece is irresponsible. You know who's at the helm of Greece? A hardline socialist. And austerity is another way of saying cuts or living within your budget. And they just don't want to do it. Europeans are addicted to the state. They're addicted to the government. They're addicted to goodies. They're addicted to things. And they just simply don't want to chase prosperity via hard work. They don't want capitalism. They don't want entrepreneurial blood coursing through the veins because that's been deemed horrible. Does it sound familiar? But they also want all the goodies. You know what I mean? The iPhones, the goodies, the conveniences, Western lifestyle. And what do you know? Reality is crushing them like a bug, but it's somebody else's fault. It's somebody else's fault. And you'll see the party lines break. You'll see the ideological lines break. Let's listen to a clip on this.
On Monday morning, Athens woke up to closed banks and shuttered ATMs as capital controls imposed by the government came into force. Depositors that weren't aware of the closures were turned away by security guards, while the ATMs that did have cash attracted dozens of queuers as people tried to withdraw the 60 euros that they are now limited to per day. The capital controls have deeply divided Greek society between those that blame the IMF, the EU and other creditors for Greek's problems and those that think the hardline leftist government of Alexis Tsipras is to blame for a standoff that has lasted since January. Greeks will vote on Sunday in a referendum to either accept proposals from creditors that would lead to greater austerity or to say no. Saying no would most likely lead to Greece's exit from the Eurozone. Many young people feel strongly that they cannot take any more austerity and are likely to vote no, whereas the middle class appear to be voting yes. Greeks who are opposed to more austerity have praised Mr. Tsipras' decision to call the referendum, but those who want the country to stay within the euro say that it is a dangerous gamble that could result in more disaster.
Of course it's a dangerous gamble. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just call the Greek Prime Minister Obama Tube. Obama Tube is promising straw will be turned to gold. That's what all statists promise, but it's not true. America, I beg you, can you see your future through this Greek crystal ball? Can you see it? I love how they're referring to it as the capital, like the Hunger Games capital. That movie could not be more prolific.
The capital controls.
Ladies and gentlemen, statism doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. Sharing the wealth doesn't work. Capitalism, free enterprise works. Do you understand? The leftists lie. And then when the consequences hit, they blame somebody else.
That blame the IMF, the EU and other creditors for Greek's problems.
The Greek economy doesn't have an escape route. Do you understand? Their escape route happened when the Euro countries decided to all pool their money together to compete with the capitalistic countries. And now, even with their money pooled together, the failure is so massive that they cannot make it work. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. This is your future.
Closed banks and shuttered ATMs as capital controls imposed by the government.
This is your future. Not to say anything about the fact that the Greek economy spiraling means the world economy spiraling, because the European Union will suffer and suffer gravely for this. This is all the fruits of the tree of statist share the wealth lies. Great opportunity for Americans to awaken, smell the socialist tea leaves. I have a lot of doubt whether we will. Let's move on. Breitbart has a piece about Valerie Jarrett, the Valerie Jarrett, the puppeteer, if you will. I've no string to hold me down. Puppeteer that we have in the White House. She's apparently behind the rainbow display on the White House. Another way of looking at that is a double-barrel middle finger to 50% of the Americans. Just think about it flipped. Any issue you want, from abortion to any divide this country issue, right? Here's one, guns. Imagine the Supreme Court comes down and, well, I don't know, reads the Constitution, reads the Second Amendment word for word, just as an example. And then the next day, there's this Wild Wild West silhouette with double guns blaring on the White House via a lighting display. Now, would that divide America in that moment, or would that unify America? Now, does that even cross your mind that the left is using this issue like they use all things to divide America and thus strengthen themselves? You really ought to head over to Breitbart.com where he lays this out factually. A contentious issue only dividing the body politic further, which is, by the way, the point of all of it. Moving on, Baltimore political hack posing as a prosecutor gets glam coverage in Vogue while she sues to stop the defendant's lawyers from talking, while she gag orders the defendant. By the way, in case you have a 5th grade elementary education and a master's degree in reality, this is hypocritical, abusing power in such a woolly mammoth-like way, but she has a glamour Vogue photo shoot while she gags the defendant lawyers. This is Marilyn Mosby, obviously wanting to hold political office. She gives this huge self-proclamation spread interview. It gags the defense lawyers for 6 cops accused of Freddie Gray death. She accuses lawyers of trying to publicly blitz, in other words, accusing them of getting the word out, turning public opinion, spoiling, I suppose, the jury pool. Then she goes out in a double standard-like fashion that conducts a glam shoot photo op for herself. This is leftism, like acid eroding at the foundations of our very legal system. Nobody calling her out on it. Absolutely, the double standard, just waving flags of hypocrisy and double standards. An interesting little factoid that might interest you. The United States of America, all red, white, and blue, has more Spanish-speaking people in it now than Spain. This according to the New York Post. But you know what? I think we really should feel very bad about ourselves. Very, very bad about ourselves for not swinging further open the southern door, taking the consequences on the chin for the socialism and the economic damage that South American despot dictators have done to their people. We really should. I mean, the left is right about this. We should really blacken our eye, bloody our own lip, flog ourselves possibly rhetorically and legally and economically for not bearing that burden further. We are a gruesome, heartless nation, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on. Speaking of leftist chickens coming home to roost, Puerto Rico, ladies and gentlemen, broke. Leftist-run Puerto Rico. Democrat-run Puerto Rico broke. Now, Puerto Rico is broke even having the trapeze net of the United States of America. Cannot pay its bills. Not sure where it's headed. I know where it's headed. Stateside's going to pick up the fiscal water. That's exactly what's going to happen, just like it happens in California, like it happens wherever Democrats are in charge. Conservative states, conservative economic vibrancy has to play fiscal triage to leftism until eventually it gets so bad, like in the case of Greece, that there is nobody else to carry the water. Leftism is the opposite of the Midas touch. It destroys everything it puts its little witchy, bony fingers on. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, the sad and bad news does not stop. And I'm sorry to bring it to you. I really am. I'd love to tickle your funny bone. But this is the world as we live in. Loads of debt. And this is not just Greece. It's not just California. Everywhere. It's a global ailment with few cures, ladies and gentlemen. Cures that $10 trillion can't solve. There's this massive Jurassic Park size amount of money that is just due because we have rejected a surefire way of prosperity, which is free markets, free markets, free markets. But free markets are not appealing to centralized government lusters. So let me walk you through it. So Brazil, all kinds of economic debt, all kinds of trouble. Italy in trouble. China's stock market plummeting. Italy in a disaster. Just this last week, we got a 2.9 drop in the U.S. market. This is S&P. Britain's market dropped 2 points. Germany's market dropped almost 4 points. This is because of the Greece thing. China, huge drop in the market. Japanese, huge drop in the market. The euro market's plummeting. Federal Reserve and the European Central Banks printing trillions of euros and covering up, Band-Aid over a cancer, which is statism, which is big government statism, ladies and gentlemen. And I can go on and on. Ukraine, basically defaulting on creditors. Portugal, total disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, leftism does not work in any capacity, not in the social realm, not in the fiscal realm, certainly not in the political realm. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a disaster, it's a plague, it's a cancer. Fight it, fight it, fight it. Be a people of great fortitude, character, and above all, courage. Thank you for listening.
I want that Barack Lawley guy stopped immediately.
No more ignoring the law when it is inconvenient.
When Congress offers you a bill, do you promise not to use presidential signage to get your way?
Yes. I believe in the Constitution, and I will obey the Constitution of the United States. We're not going to use signing statements as a way of doing an end run around Congress. We have a responsibility to act. Can't wait for Congress to do its job. So where they won't act, I will. And I've told my administration, we're going to look every single day to figure out what we can do without Congress.
What in your religious faith calls you to be against gay marriage?
A man and a woman, when they get married, are performing something before God. I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman. For me as a Christian, it's also a sacred union. God's in the mix.
You had the situation in Europe, and you had a tsunami in Japan. The severe storms all along the East Coast. My job is to solve problems, not to stand on the sidelines and carp and gripe. The last thing we should do is raise taxes on the middle class. You will not see your taxes increase one single dime. You will not see your taxes increase a single dime. I repeat, not one single dime.
And under this mandate, the government is forcing people to spend money, fining you if you don't. How is that not a tax?
That is a lie. Visit CourageCulture.net.
Long live the new media. CourageCulture.net.